What's up everyone, Darcblade here with another episode in my Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer class guide series. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at our second Dragon Slayer DLC character, the highly unique and musical Virtuoso. Now remember that the builds in these videos are for the harder difficulties in the game, mainly perilous. They are also for level 20 characters. Zither was a household name in Orlais, playing for packed auditoriums of nobility and commoners alike. But then the Circles rebelled, his Templar manager tried to kill him, and he frittered away all his gold drinking in a riverside tavern in Cumberland for the past 2 years, unable to get a gig. The Inquisition is his one chance at a comeback tour, and he's going to grab it with both bejeweled hands. Now before moving into the heart of the episode, I need to cover some unique aspects of Zither. As the Virtuoso, you do not get abilities in the normal sense. Instead you have access to 3 notes. These notes are fire, cold and electric notes. Above Zither's health bar you will find 3 empty diamond slots. Playing the notes will fill these up. Playing a combination of these notes will allow your final ability slot to become usable in the form of a song. These songs act as your abilities. The combination of notes played will dictate what song is played. You can unlock multiple songs depending on your build too. Playing the notes takes no mana, but playing the song will. Each song costs 25 mana. With this in mind, you have to have some quick fingers to pull off strings of songs. Now the build I use will give you the following songs. The first 3 songs you always get no matter what spec you're using. Playing 3 cold notes will allow you to cast Hometown Anthem. This ability generates a 20% barrier for you and your allies around you. The radius is 8 meters. This can be very useful to keep friends and yourself alive. While it's not as powerful as the Keeper's or Elementalist's barrier, it can sometimes help relieve a bit of incoming damage. Some players like to spam this over and over again, ignoring the other songs available to the Virtuoso. While it does work, it's a little bit boring. Playing 3 electric notes will give you Fast Beat. This ability grants you and your allies a 35% movement speed increase for 12 seconds. The radius again is 8 meters. This ability may not be the most useful when it comes to combat, but it's not bad for travelling. Playing 3 fire notes will allow you to cast Hot Licks. This allows the Virtuoso to release a fire projectile at foes, which deals fire damage and ricochets to nearby foes. The damage is 400% weapon damage. Now moving on to the optional songs I like to take. Note that I don't take all songs available, but it is possible to do so. Playing 1 fire and 2 electric notes will allow you to play Battle of the Bands. This increases the attack speed of both you and your allies. The attack speed bonus is 20% for 12 seconds, and again the radius for this effect is 8 meters. This allows the whole team to deal more damage, and it really works well with characters who already have a fast attack rate. It also works well in conjunction with the next ability, which is Singalong, and its upgrade altogether now. Playing 1 cold note and 2 electric notes will cast this amazing buff. This song allows you and your allies to regain health whenever you strike an enemy. The health amount is 2% per hit. Again, this lasts for 12 seconds and is over an 8 meter radius. The upgrade altogether now makes this song even better. If enemies die when Singalong is in effect, all allies in the area will regain 10% health. So this ability can replace the barrier as the main defensive ability for this class in a way. The next song is A Little Night Music, which is cast by playing 1 fire and 2 cold notes. This grants you and your allies a boost to their armour, giving you a 130 bonus to your armour for 12 seconds. Again, it's over an 8 meter radius. This buff works great when facing foes who deal physical damage to you. The next song is a counter to magical foes. Bolstering Ballad, which is played by performing 2 cold notes and 1 electric note, gives you and your team 20% resistance to elemental damage types, so that's fire, frost, electricity. It also gives you 20% spirit resistance too. The buff lasts for 12 seconds and again is over an 8 meter radius. This is a great defensive ability when facing demons. The last ability I take is Power Chord and its upgrade Front Row Seats. To play this song you have to queue up 2 fire notes and 1 electric note. This ability grants you some more damage options by damaging all nearby opponents. The closer they are, the more damage they take. It deals 150% weapon damage, and at 4 meters it will deal 200%, and at 2 meters 400%. The radius for this ability is again 8 meters. Taking its upgrade Front Row Seats is what I mainly take this ability for. It allows you to remove all hostile magic and status effects from your allies, while shattering and dispelling beneficial effects from foes. It's basically a dispel magic ability. Now moving on to the passives, I will first go over the mandatory ones you need to take for this build to work, followed by the optional ones. These passives also give you permanent increases to your base stats. With the Virtuoso you have Magic, which increases your attack and barrier damage, Cunning that increases your crit and range defenses, Constitution that increases your health and melee defenses, and finally Willpower, which increases your attack and magical defenses. In the Crowd Pleaser tree I take Fortifying Arpeggio. This grants you a 24 armor bonus when you play songs multiple times quickly. This effect can also stack. It also grants you +3 Constitution. Next is Fill the Crowd, which grants you a mana regeneration buff when you are within 5 meters of your allies. The mana generation rate is a 50% bonus. It will also give you +3 willpower. Next is the Last Sacrifice. This allows you to help your allies when you die. When you fall, you give them 100% health and a 50% damage buff. This bonus lasts for 10 seconds and it has a cooldown of 60 seconds. It also grants you +3 Constitution. Next is Tempest Magic. For each active lightning cord you have queued, you will gain 5% bonus to your movement speed. It also grants you +3 Cunning. Next is There Is No Darkness. This grants you and your party 10% damage resistance to fire, ice, electric and spirit damage. It also grants you +3 willpower. Next is Winter Music. This grants you a 10% defense bonus when you have 3 ice notes queued. It also grants you +3 Constitution. Now in the Battle Hymn tree I start by taking Aggressive Arpeggio. After playing multiple songs in quick succession you will gain a 10% damage bonus for 6 seconds. This effect will stack too. It also gives you +3 magic. And lastly, for the mandatory passives, is Combat Clarity. This allows your mana to regenerate when within 5 meters of an enemy. The mana generation rate bonus is 50%. It also grants you +3 Constitution. Now for the optional passives that in some ways are just as important, I start by taking the following in the Crowd Pleaser tree. I start with Long Solo. This increases the duration of your buffs by 4 seconds. It also grants you +3 magic. Next is Strength of Spirits, which grants you a 50% barrier bonus, allowing you to absorb more damage before it depleting. Next is Play to the Crowd. This allows your barrier to increase for each ally within 8 meters of you whenever you play a song. The bonus is 2% per ally. It also grants you +3 willpower. Lastly, in the Battle Hymns tree, I take Opening Set, which allows you to generate mana with your basic attacks. The mana regained is 4% per attack. It also grants you +3 Cunning. Now if you wanted to, you could play around with the optional passives if you don't like the ones I use here. So for the rotation of abilities, or in this case songs, I start by queuing up 3 cold notes in order to cast a barrier if needed. If not, I will sometimes queue up 3 electric ones so we can all move faster. When combat starts, I again queue up 3 cold notes, after which I will then queue up 1 electric note that will allow me to cast the resistance song Bolstering Ballad. After I queue up another electric note, which will allow me to cast the health regen buff Singalong. Next I queue up a fire note that will allow me to cast Battle of the Bands to increase the team's attack speed. Next I queue up 2 cold notes. This will allow me to cast a little night music to increase the team's armor. After which I queue up 1 more cold note to cast Hometown Anthem if a barrier is needed to protect the team. This rotation will allow you and your team a full range of buffs, making you able to take on most foes. In between all of this, don't forget to use your normal attacks to regen your mana. Also keep an eye on your buffs and repeat the above rotation when they start to fade. The only mix-up in this rotation I use is if I need to play a power chord to deal some damage or dispel magic. As for leveling up, I start by going for Singalong and its upgrade. This should make you around level 8. Next I take Opening Set in the Battle Hymn tree, making you level 9. Next I take Long Solo in the Crowd Pleaser tree, making you level 10. Then I go for Bolstering Ballad, which should make you level 14. Next I take Strength of the Spirits and Play to the Crowd, making you level 16. Then I head straight for Power Chord and its upgrade, which should finally make you level 20. Overall, Zither the Virtuoso is a very unique class. He's one of a kind. He is probably the best support class in the game, able to increase the team's damage and defences in many ways. He also has the added bonus of having a wide radius that allows him to buff the team who are not right on top of you. Although his barrier is not as good as other classes, he has access to a healing buff that is just as good as a barrier as long as your team is attacking foes. While the Virtuoso can be used offensively, he excels more at buffs and support. With this in mind, try to focus on keeping your buffs active and stay near your team for the best results. Doing this will allow you to take on the harder difficulties in the game easily. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my guide to the Virtuoso in Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.